I just got me a new camera. Looks like I'm gonna have to break out the old green screen. Yeah, that's better. Oh, wait a second, not quite. Let me get it. Okay, so anyways, today I want to tell you about the last...
Hang up and try again.
Yeah, so today I'm going to tell you about the last true hot rodder. I know about true hot rodders because when I was little, I mean pretty little, I actually hung out with them. They were friends of my father. See, my father was born in 1930, and by the end of the Second World War, well, he was only 15 years old. You know, as any little kid did back in the 60s and the 50s, hey, what did you do in the war, Daddy? And, well, my dad said, I didn't do nothing. I was only 15 years old, but I know guys in the war that will gladly tell you all their war stories. So he invited them over, and they were like, had these really cool cars. One of them, sorry, I'm gonna edit the ear thingy out so you won't see this. Okay, here we go. Okay, one of them had a Model T that he explained to me. The only thing about the car was the Model T. Everything else was something else. It was I don't know what kind of frame, but it had a Cadillac motor. I remember that because Cadillacs are big cars. Hey, you know, it's got to have a big motor. Had a Chevy transmission because you can't bolt a Ford transmission to a Chevy. It had a truck rear end. It had a truck rear end because as he explained to me, if he was to race my dad's car in the beginning, he would be in the lead, but we'd drive down the road far enough and all of a sudden he'd be way ahead of, my dad would be way ahead of him. So, you know, I understood that. And these guys, you know, what did you do in the war? Well, they told me the most interesting story. So, it seems like they were over there in Germany and France after Normandy. They were over there following the invading army. Okay, first the front line would push the enemy back, and then the reserves would come up and maintain order and peace, and then they'd bring up the supply depot, and he said, I can't concentrate doing this, man. I can think all I can say, but I can't do them both. Anyways, the reserves would maintain peace and order, and then the supply depot and the motor pool would come up. And the motor pool guys, well, they'd go out in the field and get the cars, not the cars, get the jeeps and the trucks and the tanks that they could working and get them back to the front line. And the ones that they can't, well, they salvage what they can. Can't take too much because they only got so many trucks to move it all with, and, you know, kind of losing some of them in the war. So, you know, that's basically what they did. Yes, when you YouTubers are going out there in the field and fixing a car and getting it running back to the shop, you're just playing on me as far as these guys are concerned. Me too, for that matter, because you ain't under the pressure of base fighting going on down in the distance. I mean, these weren't the dudes that, you know, when the war started had to jump up because they wanted to go around killing people. No, they were, you know, now I won't say draft dodgers because they did get drafted. They did go into the army. They were conscientious objectors, so they put them in the motor pool and trained them how to fix engines and stuff. And when they were, you know, done doing with their equipment they could, they got a chance to check out German engineering. So when they came out of the army, they were, you know, trained in automobiles. And, yeah, they had army pay, and, yeah, they had good pay from the army, and they wanted to buy a new car, except, you know, in 1946, they weren't no new cars. They were just the 1942s that they were doing as cheaply as possible because there was material shortages and the war was on, so they're not going to make things really nice. They had money because they were in the war and they could have bought a car, but you don't know what, they know how to work on them, so they went to the junkyards and bought the things that they need and they built them. They were quite adamant about this, you know. It's like, you don't go and taking daddy's money and buying a muscle car that you can beat me on a race on a quarter mile and call yourself a hot rodder. No, you want to be a hot rodder, you have to build it. And that's what brings me to the last of the true hot rodders. True hot rodders. I'm still buzzing here. I can't concentrate, it's really tough. I have to smoke, and I can't smoke on YouTube, so that makes it even hotter. Okay, I'll be back after another smoke. We'll see you. Now, I don't know how I'm going to edit this all together, so it might be kind of out of sync. It might be out of sequence, but I'm doing the best I can, man. I'm all tested. It's like difficult. Okay, so when you guys go out into the field and you get a car running, you bring it back, you're just playing on it. But because these are, drafted individuals, conscientious objectives that found themselves in the motor pool, you ought to pay tribute to them, because if it weren't for these guys, we wouldn't have hot rodding, especially like it is today. Okay? So, to pay tribute to young men like yourself who were drafted into the Army and managed to get yourself into the motor pool and started hot rodding for us, you ought to be like linking hot rod clubs to the AM vets and the the Veterans of Foreign Wars or whatever, not to pay homage to the soldiers that do the fighting. I mean, I don't care what your political and military beliefs are, man. These are dudes just like you, working on cars over there during the war. Maybe not have been a life and death situation every day like the guys in the front line were, but still, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have hot rodding. Okay? Alright, so what y'all should do is a tribute video. I mean, it can be a full-blown production where you know exactly what it needs and how long it's going to take, and you work together with the fireworks people and the reenactors. So on the 4th of July celebration, you've got your car in earshot of the fireworks. You don't have the camera angle that shows the fireworks, but you hear the fighting off. And you might even have some of your local supporting actors lighting off salutes off cameras to make it sound like fighting nearby. And you go, you have the sergeant and 2 privates carrying a big old heavy box of possible gonna need, because on the radio they told you how it died, so you got a pretty good idea what you gotta do. And you show up and they go, "It looks like a wreck." And the sergeant goes, "Well, of course, man, it's an undercover high-tech car with state-of-the-art technology. If it looked like a Lamborghini, they'd take it just because it looked like a Lamborghini. Looks like this, they won't give it a second look." And you get it going under the pressure of fire, yeah. Another sergeant comes up and he says, "Hey, listen, dude, we just ambushed a bunch of people coming here with their tools. They know it's here." And that's when the fireworks start off. And now, looks like they're starting with a counter-effective. And as the fireworks progress, hey, you get closer and closer and you're under the gun, and it's a full movie production type of thing. So, yes, naturally, you're going to pull away. You're just playing more. Get a video, giving tribute, Easter egg, if you will, to the guys who started hot rodding. All right, now they were, could do a studio version where you put it out by a tree row in your backyard and do it undercover night with camouflage and all the fatigues, and it could take you a week or more to. Anyway, I'd like to see 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 on Veterans Day, just because, man, if it wasn't for those Army dudes, you wouldn't have hot rods. Okay, and then they would, like I said, they were very adamant you don't go out and spend daddy's money buying a muscle car so that you can beat them in a quarter mile and call yourself a hot rodder. And they were most adamant about this. Now, what they were calling daddy money muscle cars, you all call them tri-5s. All right, because I was born in 54, October of 54, in fact. So these are quite new and on the road when, I first saw them. It's like a Tesla. Yeah, Teslas are all new and crazy for us, but for anybody who's been born like right now, a few years after the Teslas comes out, they've always been Teslas. Anyways, this continued until such time that one of them actually bought a tri-5, and I said, because they still come over and visit my dad, and I like looking at the cars, and they said, I thought you weren't allowed to have these things. And he said, well, yeah, but I put an intake on it and a Holly. And yeah, Holly was the only performance carburetor made, if they were making performance carburetors then. But, otherwise you could take a carburetor off a big block engine and put it on a small block engine and get more power that way. But you wanted a performance carb, you bought a Holly. He put an intake and a Holly and headers on it. And therefore he modified it, and that's okay. And the reason I mention him too is because he showed me the trunk. And this is where I get my age reference, because I don't know how new the car was. I don't know if it was a 56 or 57 or a 58. All I knew is that the car came up to my chest. All right, right there between the chest and the stomach, that's where the bumper was. And I'm looking into the trunk, and I noticed right away it doesn't have the wheel well like my dad's does. All my dad's cars had a thing in the bottom for the wheel to go into. This car, it was just level all the way across. I noticed that right off. And he starts showing me this acoustic lining in the trunk. He explains how the back speaker doesn't have any covering on it, and with the trunk open and empty, it becomes a megaphone and plays the music on the beach so that you can dance to the music on the beach. Yes, I was a 12-year-old boy. I would watch the 60s bikini beach movies and watch the half-naked ladies dancing around. Hey, I'm 12 years old. What else am I going to do? And I noticed that when they were dancing, the convertibles had the tops down and the radios on, and in the circle of cars, there was always a Tri-5 with the trunk open up so they could have the low end that the trunk megaphone would bring out. Now, you can do a 21st century version of this, take it to your sound guy and say, yeah, put more deflectors and stuff on it and turn it into a serious subwoofer for outside bonfires and car shows. You know, or you could put a good speaker in there with no backing on it and let the trunk do its magic. But I don't think they make speakers that can be run without being in an enclosure, and an open trunk is not an enclosure. So you might have to get some 21st century technology to reproduce what it could have sounded like, but only better. Anyways, hey, I would like to see that. Hey, be yourself on YouTube, not me. I can't stick on topic, man. I keep going up on these little bunny trails. Here I am, telling you all about the last true hot rodder. But I watch his channel only because he builds his car. He wants a Tri-5, he builds it. He doesn't go out and buy one. He buys a VIN number that he can build a car off of, but he scavenges parts out of other dead Tri-5s to build the one that works that he wants. Some people, oh, the purists, they think that you know how the purists are. You don't change nothing on the car. The only thing you can change is the radio station, and that's only because they make it that way. Don't be hanging dice from the mirrors or putting any custom touches on it to make it your car. No, it's just like it was the factory. Some of them are so bad they stay on top of them and keep them up and do the maintenance. And I actually saw one once in a car show. I thought it was a restoration. Really good. He said, oh no, man, that guy bought this car new. He took care of it. It lasted 20 years, and it lasted even longer than that. And, if it wasn't for them people, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate that. But, they get on you. Hey, Frankenstein was a monster. It was only the people's perception of him that made it that way. Okay? Take other cars, dead cars, to make it one that works because you're a hot rodder and you build your car. This is the dude I'm watching. All right? He wants a tow truck. What does he buy? He doesn't buy nothing. He builds a tow truck. Okay, and he, the big guy, likes driving around in little sports car roadsters, but big guys in a small car don't work. So he went and built himself a full-size, he went and built himself a full-size roadster. Did a Tri-5 out of it, from the ground up too, got a frame and everything, just put the car on it. He's a true hot rodder, because he's doing a kit car right now. Well, actually, he's a true hot rodder. I mean, he's smarter than he thinks he is, because he thought he was building a convertible, but he's actually building a full-size roadster for the full-size man that he is. And, I would promote his channel, but I told him how to put a heater in it so that he could drive it all year round, or at least a few more months, and he won't listen to me, so I'm not going to tell you who he is. But, I hope he hasn't bothered putting that convertible top on that thing and ruining it, because it's a dream. He's also working on a very custom-built four-wheel drive 56 Chevy wagon, but oh no, he's not listening to me, so that's not going to happen. But that's okay, because he's still the last true hot rodder. I don't have to see him watching, swapping out engines and rebuilding brakes. I've been there, done that. But watching him build something that he wants to drive is why I watch his channel. Okay? Yes. The last two hot rodder that I know of. I mean, I know you people who build racing cars so that you can race. That's racing. But hot rodding is building a car that you can street race with. Otherwise, you just use your money to buy a really nice car, something really cool, which is an okay thing. You don't have to be a hot rodder to enjoy a nice, fast car. But if you've got to build the ride that you want, with buying somebody else's car ain't good enough until you modify it to make it the way you want it. That's what makes you a hot rodder. How devoted of a hot rodder, how much you change your cars. This guy, he builds them. All right, he's a Canadian-based person living up there in Canada. Yes, it's Canada. I'm sorry, folks, but I'm not going to refer to any country with the last syllable of duh. I mean, like it's like a can of whoop ass, only not as harmful. Here, I'm going to open a can of duh on you. It's Canada. I'm an American. I live in America. You're Canadian. You live in Canada. It's that simple. Duh. Okay? But anyway, she's up there in Canada doing the American Motors thing by building cars with other parts from other cars. Does a really good job. You know, he's smarter than he thinks he is because you have highs, you have lows, you have these brilliant brainiac moments that you come up with an incredible idea, but sorry dude, karma's real. You're going to have to pay for it with one of those. What the hell was I thinking? Okay, I think that's it. Hey, this is an N board. I'm going to try a new one. You may have noticed that I use the same N board over and over and over. So what you want to do is you want to click over here for one thing. I guess it's up there. You want to click up there for one thing, and you want to click over here for the other. Yep, okay. Right there. See it? Here, click it. Okay. One of them is going to be my intro list, which is everything. I couldn't do a whole big everything, understanding of everything video with just one thing, but you want to know where I'm coming from, watch the intro list. There's other stuff too, but the intro is like basically who I am and why I claim to be smarter than everybody. Oh yeah.